All right, let's talk about something new today. I am on a mission to revamp my approach to supporting and servicing WordPress professionals, probably like yourself. And I do think that that is going to expand, if not already, well beyond WordPress. And this is a shift that we've seen happen, I don't know, probably since Gutenberg first hit the scene. A lot of it was because people just didn't want Gutenberg. People, I guess, still some people don't want Gutenberg. But that rift really started happening as far back as that, as far as I can remember. And it's only gotten worse. That is the pressure on the definition of WordPress professional, maybe even the desire to be a WordPress professional since that date. Through all the things of, WordPress itself, not iterating fast enough, not innovating fast enough, yet still holding a massive lead on any competition that it faces, still holding that massive lead, yet a general sense of lethargicism? I don't know what the word is on that one, but still being slow to develop, slow to adopt and adapt new technologies in the space, save JavaScript, of course, and React. So we've had a lot of time and a lot of, I guess, critical thinking about what is a WordPress professional and how do you continue to thrive alongside WordPress? So all that is to say, technology, and we just can't escape it. And I'm getting kind of tired of talking about it. Hard to escape this AI thing that's happening. And listen, I'm wrapped up in it. I'm using it probably just as much as you if you're building a lot of stuff. I actually have a real problem with how much stuff I'm building with AI. Having said that, a lot of the stuff that I'm shifting to at the WP Minute is hopefully becoming a resource for WordPress professionals. And I'll urge this again. Tune in to Kurt and Toby's podcast. Please, if you're a WordPress agency or a freelancer and you're still doing what a lot of us are doing, which is servicing WordPress clients, but trying to find your way in this new era of technology, let alone WordPress, if that's you, if you're still building websites, you're still billing clients, you're still doing project management, you're still looking for help and bringing people on, and yes, you're adapting AI and all these new technologies, but you're trying to build an agency and you enjoy it, or you're struggling with it, you can still tune in to Kurt and Toby's discussions on the WP Minute Plus podcast. Just search for the WP Minute Plus in your wherever you get your podcasts, or go to the WPMinute.com and click on podcasts, and you can subscribe right there. They're doing some fantastic work addressing a lot of their concerns. They are two agency owners who are still servicing the space and trying to figure out what that next step is. So I'm investing in them. They're investing in you. This is my first step forward to say, hey, look, I want to help WordPress professionals and agency owners again, but I don't live that life. I kind of oversee it through our connection that we have, dear listener, to all the friends that I have in the space, to my work at Gravity Forums, to the members, to the sponsors that help support the WP Minute. But I am not invoicing clients to build websites anymore. And I want to make sure that there's some boots on the ground representation at the WP Minute talking about that. And that's what Kurt and Toby are largely doing on the WP Minute. And Eric too. How could I forget? Eric Karkovac, of course, our managing editor at the WP Minute. Every 2 weeks, he's publishing an article and doing a podcast episode on the WP Minute podcast, the short form podcast for the freelancer, for the developer, for the person trying to figure out this software. He's wrangling clients still, 20 years in. God bless him. So there's strong representation And I gotta fly the WP Minute flag in the WordPress media space as, one of the, if not the top shows to tune into for the freelancers and for you that are trying to figure out the WordPress life, because it's changing and it's changing fast. So what am I getting at in this episode besides all of that setup? I talked to somebody the other day who's really well known, I guess was really well known in the WordPress space, stepped out of the WordPress space, but works with a lot of agency owners now. That's his business. And I don't want to reveal who it is because I'm trying to get him back on the podcast. But I asked him, out of all of his customers that come through, and a majority of them do use WordPress, probably 95%. I asked him, what's the biggest thing missing from those customers who are agency owners coming to his program? And he said, Matt, I got to tell you, it is paid discovery is something that people just don't know, can't wrap their head around before they get to my program, which I didn't ask the follow-up question. I'm assuming he is teaching it, but how I framed the question was hey, if I could help somebody before they get to your course, before they get to your program, what would it be? And he said it was all about that paid discovery. Now, I did this back in my agency quite often. And I'm sure, I'm sure times have changed, right? Like I said before, I haven't been pitching clients on building sites. But before, when I was doing agency work between 2008 and 2018, WordPress and technology and the web was still, people are still scratching their head. I don't even know, what do I do with the website? How do I use this website? And maybe people still ask that today. But there was a lot of hand-holding, a lot of information or a lot of education, I guess, at the end of the day, that you're giving somebody. At least that's what I was going through back in that time, because people just didn't know how these technologies interrupt. And if they were a sizable company, we're talking about base level technologies like DNS, web server, email servers. When you get leads through a website, these should go into a CRM. What's a CRM? This is what a CRM is. Oh my God, we don't have one of those. How does your sales team keep up with any of this stuff? What's your process from, lead generation to follow-up? Oh, we don't do any of it. Well, how are you multi-million-dollar manufacturing company, with a small sales team, 2-3 people, including the owner? How are you doing this? How are you surviving? And this was, 15, 20 years ago. So when I would hit those initial discovery calls, I quickly realized, wait a minute, no, my breadth of knowledge isn't just about how to build you a website, but it's about understanding what that website value is to your business, and then how it can work for you, right? This is how I always position websites when I sold them to clients, and I would probably imagine that's still how it is today, is I would position it as, this is a platform that works for you. This isn't just 5 pages, an about page, a services page, a contact page, a home page, and then a team page. That's not what this is. It might start that way. That might be how you walk through the door thinking that's what you need. And that's totally fine. You want to start there. Here's the minimum price that we need to build something like that. But, oh, by the way, if you really wanted to expand this thing, which expands your business as well, then this is the path that you should be walking down, right? E-commerce, lead gen forms, you as the agency owner, this. And when I would have those discussions early on, it was quickly realizing I can't give this knowledge out for free every single time, because what happens is when I do that, it devalues everything that comes afterwards, right? Because then there's like this expectation that all of this stuff might happen. But oh, by the way, you just gave me a 5-page website. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. It's just like a lot of other stuff is like you're becoming a consultant and you start solving problems that, let's say, their advertising agency was supposed to figure out, or their, IT organization was supposed to figure out. I mean, how many times I ask people like, okay, who has control over your domain? And they'll look at me cross-eyed like, I have no idea. Well, who's your IT guy? I don't know, some guy that shows up once a year. Okay, well, let's talk to him. And you start realizing, wait, I know so much and I'm solving so many pain points that you must pay me for this value. So anyway, it's a long way of getting to, I quickly realized that paid discovery calls, after like the initial consultation of like, are we good partners? Like that's what we're doing. Explain to me what your problem is, that why you're contacting me. Let me tell you about like our process and how we work. And what do you think? Like, first of all, do I think I can support and service you in your industry? And do you think you can work with me? And here's all the reasons, why you might find us a good fit. And then afterwards, it's, okay, you understand what our budget range is. But before we get there, here's my, paid discovery fee, right? We'll go through this and we'll workshop this together. And it really depended on like that customer. If it was a small business customer, I would frame it like, it depends on like what that range is. I mean, are they a small accountant, small law firm? Okay, so it's $250 for the hour, and let's just workshop this stuff. You pay me for the hour. We'll go through your stuff. It'll sort of be like a little boot camp thing, and we can get a better sense of like what's really wrong in your business. Okay. A diagnosis is what I should say. That just kind of points to different areas, to certain hotspots. They were a bigger customer and I knew they like whatever it was that they were looking for was definitely going to be this more long-term project, or, hey, I saw this and I knew this was like a $10,000 project. Then maybe the discovery fee is $1,000, 10% of the project. And if the customer's on the fence of saying, I don't know if I really want to push over into that 10,000 just yet, what can we do in a single day as a team for $1,000 to build out a proper plan, a blueprint before you break ground, before you start building that house? Can we get a proper plan in place? So even if you don't hire us, you've got value here. Looking at whatever surface level technology we could, like assessing their current CMS if they had one, page speed, rankings, user logins, accessibility stuff. If you pushed into e-commerce, like what does that look like in terms of SKUs, hosting, a whole bunch of different things, right? And people would often kick back, that's like too expensive. There's no budget for extra. Like we just want to roll this in. And that's fine. That's what we would do. We would roll it in. But what we wanted to say was, we can build this for you now, especially if you're unsure of spending all that money. And we'll discount it. Like if you sign today, we discount that $1,000. But if you come back to us in 6 months, like things could change. But then you could also take this plan to somebody else. And it was a preventative measure, really. It was to make sure that there were no stones unturned. And really, it was an investment in their business success, right? It's not a cost, really. It's like, this is a plan. You're talking to a consultant. Surprise, like we know business. Like we weren't just pushing pixels for you. Like we understand what it means to your business and what a website represents. Once again, 15 years ago. So What I'm curious to know from you is this still an issue for you? Paid discovery calls, that is? Is that something that you're not doing? You've never heard of it? You've tried it with little success? Are things different in 2025? Where now maybe your customer's coming to you and said, hey, I asked ChatGPT to roll out a plan to execute on my website. Here's the outline it gave me based on my business needs and my customers. This is the outline I've prepared for you to roll with. How different is it these days when you bring up the topic of paid discovery? And if I can get this gentleman on the podcast, again, I'm sure we'll have that discussion. But until then, I just want to know, if that's a real issue in your success. And if it's not that, then what is it? What else is really holding you back on the agency stuff? And I know you're probably going to say more business, more clients. That's always a thing. And maybe that's for another episode. I'm in the same boat as you, right? With sponsorship and more members to the WP Minute membership. There's no surefire way to get more customers, though I'm sure the real aggressive marketers will tell you paid ads, have something to sell, have an offer, and then push that out on ads makes total sense. But as you know, I'm not an ads guy. I'm not a very strategic guy. Other than putting out as much content as I possibly can, building up a reputation and brand, and building trust through podcasts like this and videos and newsletters, everything else that we do is really just trying to take an honest approach to informing, educating, and entertaining WordPress professionals. That's my secret sauce. That's how I approach it. So let me know what the number one issue you have right now with running your agency. And the question is it paid discovery calls?